Hello? Hi. So shit. I watched Halloween today and just started spooky season. Started uh, trying to get in the feel of let's watch some horror movies for Halloween because I really like to do that. I'm like start off with a bang, right? Um I watched Halloween last year and the year before, I'm pretty sure. Um and so this year was more like a let's just watch it, get out of the way. Um and just see like if it holds up on the ugh, third watch. I I have issues with this movie because I think it's very good. However, I don't know how much of that idea is rooted in the nostalgia for it. I'm 21. I like this movie was made in 1978. Um, like the year that I was born, Halloween Resurrection was the newest one. It's not nostalgia for me in that sense. It's nostalgia as in Halloween is such a important and like pervasive thing in our culture where so many people attribute Halloween, the festivities and the holiday, that's the word, the holiday, with the movie itself. And I think it's interesting to see how much the movie has influenced the real life celebration of Halloween. Um, Especially its importance in the slasher and horror genre as a whole, kind of paving the way for the slasher genre. Now, it's not the first slasher movie. It's not even the first one in this category, which I would give to Texas Chainsaw Massacre over Halloween. But I still think it's probably the most important one to come out. Um, because of how it influenced the genre as a whole, the big boom of slasher films in the 80s, and which went all the way into the early 2000s and then it died. Fucking it died. That's bad. But I think that this movie holds a lot of importance. And so it's very hard to look down on it because of that. Because you don't want to put down Halloween and say this movie sucks when it has all of this important stuff going for it. Now, sorry. Um, I'm not going to say this movie sucks. It doesn't. Um, Sorry, I need to look up the cast. But, like, John Carpenter is a legend. Um, and it's honestly pretty revolutionary that he directed it, he wrote it, he did the score for it. Are you kidding me? Like big triple threat of do it all yourself, take what you can and make it yours. And he did that completely. And it's a big inspiration for, smaller movie directors and people who want to get into the genre of John Carpenter had to do this to make Halloween and look at what Halloween is now. Like, yeah, people might think it's a shitty B slasher while you're shitty B movie while you're making it, but I think the legacy it leaves can far outweigh how you feel while making it. Now, I'm not saying that to be like, oh, they thought this movie was gonna be ass. No, but I think this movie has a lot going for it, stylistically and story wise and dialogue wise and everything. Because when you look at the slasher category as a whole, I think this movie might be a masterpiece. It might be. It's not better than Psycho. You can't give it more than Psycho, but it is up there as one of the great slashers, and you have to give it its flowers when you think about that. I But my issue with this movie comes with its pacing, comes with its super weird buildup of we learn immediately at the beginning that um, Mike, Big Mike, escapes, and that he's this huge threat, and that he killed his sister on Halloween, however many years ago when he was a child, and he is this thing to be feared. He's immediately from the get go. He's not even personified. He's just made into to be this like menace and this omnipotent being where you don't know. Like, yes, it's a guy. We know it's a guy, but through how Loomis, um, Donald Pleasant's character of the crazy doctor, which I have very conflicting thoughts on. I'm sick. I mean, I'm not sick. I'm getting over being sick, so I'm sorry that I'm coughing a lot for the two people that watch this, which will be me and me. But it's immediately thrown onto us that Michael Myers is this presence. Michael Myers is this, but he's also not. And so the build up in the film of he has this looming threat that we don't really know exactly, but we don't know, but Loomis knows. And he's trying to warn everyone. He's trying to warn the police. He's trying to be like, okay, we need to fix this. We need to find him. All the other escaped convicts in the fucking thing, fuck them. We only need to worry about Michael Myers right now. And it gives this grandiosity to this character. But I don't know how much he lives up to it in this film. You know, you might not know. I speaking out my ass here. It's 11:36 at night, and I finished the film 5 hours ago. College is a bitch, but that's besides the point. But what I'm saying is, like, Michael Myers is a huge presence that we see get slowly built up, which I'm perfectly okay with. I really admire when films do that because they know they have this thing and they know what it's capable of, and so they can let the audience sit. They can let the audience sit, they can let the audience fester, they can throw out clues, they can make, here's a weird silhouette standing in the street stalking these people. Is that him? Or is that just a random guy? We don't know. Well, we do know. But like while we're watching, we're like, okay, is that him? Is that, or is that something else? And so we get the slow buildup of weird, like odd dude standing in corner watching Lori walk around or walk to school or walk from school, or she's driving around with her friend, sees something odd, weird, or he even stops the child. What's the child's name? Shit, Tommy? Is it Tommy? Fuck, I think it is Tommy. Or he even stops the child at school after he's getting bullied by people and is like, just there, but it's not there. Like, and I think it seems so much of this film is build up, but that build up isn't worth it because we learn about a lot about Lori. We learn a lot about the community and the school, that she's a babysitter, she hasn't had sex, that she is a good student, that she doesn't have a boyfriend, that she's not going to go out because she has duties to watch these children, to watch Tommy. Assuming that's his name. But I think that the beginning of this film is very good. And I think the ending of this film is excellent because we see that build up throughout play out to be very good. However, the middle is just where I feel like it falters because we see it doesn't feel like a horror film or a scary film or a slasher film until the final 20 minutes where it's nighttime and Loomis is walking down the street and says to the police captain, like, this, it's a slaughtering block, you know, like where we're standing right now is a slaughtering block. Everyone's gonna die if Michael Myers has any say in it. Ignore that, Jesus. But and so I see the freak out of like the town sort of, and Laurie has these character traits where she's like she's very loyal and must do what she needs to do. And she's not gonna deal with any bullshit. She's not gonna do any of this and that. And Loomis does what he can to be like, oh fuck, this guy broke out. I don't know how many times he says it, but he's like, I've been watching this guy for 15 years. And he sees a wall, but he doesn't see the wall. He sees through the wall and he's looking at something. It's like, we get it. We get it. We understand that Michael Myers is a presence. That this guy is the shit. Right? But how many... It's like, I don't remember much from the middle act because of how much it's overshadowed by the beginning and the end. Which I don't think it's a bad thing. It might just be me saying that. It might just be me saying that. Because I, you know, like I watched on my laptop today while in the union with friends. But I was still paying attention. However, that's besides the point. Um, but like this movie is iconic. I don't think it's fully iconic in that sense of um you remember the good parts, you remember the last 20 minutes, you remember who Michael Myers is and how much of a presence he is, but you don't actually remember the story of this film. You don't remember the plot points and the cop and her friends as much, or the school storyline, or of whatever, you know, because ultimately that's not what sticks. What sticks is how scary of a presence Michael Myers is. You know, you remember the few times where he's stalking Glory outside of the school, where she's sitting there in class, says something correct, the teacher's happy, and then she like, stares outside and sees something. A person. Michael Myers? Yes, but it... Take back what I said about this being a masterpiece. The more I talk about it, the more it's like, you know? But like, I think this film has so much. And there's a reason why it's iconic. There's a reason why it started all this. And yes, it may be because it's nearly 50 years old. And we have, in my opinion, much scarier movies now. We have much gorier, much graphic, much more in-depth scary movies. Where this film, I'm not scared at all. I'm not shaken, I'm not horrified, I'm not terrified. It doesn't have that feel, it doesn't have that presence that it used to. That this film couldn't terrorize a town like it used to. This is a film you put on when you're a child or when you're a parent. You're like, I gotta spook these kids. Because this movie, when watching, is scariest when you feel like Tommy. When you feel like Michael Myers is the boogeyman and he is going to get me. And I think that's another part that sticks with me so much about this film is Tommy's character, even though I can't remember his name. I'm just assuming his name's Tommy. But because he is so worried about the boogeyman and what his bully said to him. And then it comes true. Where the boogeyman is after. Not really after him, but after him by proxy. Of the boogeyman is hunting down Laurie. And he is being protected by Laurie. You know, he's being babysat. So, and it's a lot of this film boils down to that is just, I think that's the whole thing, is Michael Myers is the boogeyman. That's like all it is, really. Because you see how terrifying Michael Myers can be in the way he stalks, in the way he just terrorizes Laurie, especially after killing her friends, of putting the tombstone in the bed and the dead body on the bed, and then shoving her friends in the closet, and then having him fall over from the door. That is horrifying to think of. It's, I'm gonna be honest, it's not really scary when they do it in the film, to me at least. But like, it's horrifying to think of that Michael Myers is this presence, is this thing that'll do that. And it it shows that he's not a mindless creature. It shows that he is not um, just something that wants to kill. He's not, in my opinion, he's not Jason. Or Jason kind of just wants to kill, it seems. Where Michael Myers seems to be out for more. And I appreciate that about his character, because they just could have made him another, like, I'm gonna kill everything. Fuck it. It doesn't matter. But he's out for more. Because if he was like that, he would have just killed her immediately, you know, at the beginning of the film, immediately when they notice each other. So, I don't know. This film has a lot going for it. And I think it's just the hang up of the second act. Because the directing is very good. It's very genuine and revolutionary for its time, I'd say. And the score, you can't argue with. You can't argue about. It's iconic. When I hear the Halloween score, immediately spooky mood. Immediately I'm like on edge. I'm on nerve. The fact that John Carpenter made this is incredible. Because he's not a fucking artist. He's not a score writer. He's a director. Yet he still made this score to perfectly fit this movie to a T. I think that's incredible. And then you look at the acting of, you know, putting Jamie Lee Curtis on the map, who I don't think shows off her skills as much as Laurie. She's not able to. Laurie seems very not one-dimensional, but not explored enough in this film. Yeah, obviously we get that in, you know, more like other films, because this is just like the first one. It's just a one-off. Not one-off, but you know what I mean. And so, but even looking at Loomis's character, he's brooding and just like walking around. He's like, everyone's gonna die, blah blah blah. I wish we could have gotten more of his character and more of him, being himself rather than like, I don't know what I'm trying to say at that point. It's just like I'm frustrated with this character because I think he could be really cool, but I don't think he was that cool. if that makes any sense. But I don't know. I think this is like the quintessential Halloween film. Holiday Halloween film. Because of what it means to the horror genre as a whole, but also how synonymous it is with the holiday now. And I think it's incredible that this film was able to do that. Um, yeah, and then when I think Halloween 2 is very impressive because it was released 3 years after, but it's set in the same night, right? I haven't seen that in a year either. Well, surely watch that this spooky season. I have a long list of horror movies I need to watch this spooky season, and because they're only an hour and a half, and you don't, you know, like it's not that bad. But yeah, no, I don't know. I think this movie could definitely it it's it's made its stay, and it's not gonna leave anytime soon, ever, if ever. But it isn't this masterpiece. I said at the beginning for some. I don't know why I said that because it's not. It's just so iconic that people think it's a masterpiece. I think that's the issue. Does that make sense? But yeah, no, that's it. The date is September 29th. It's 11:50 at night. I watched this. I kind of split it up. I watched the first 30 minutes around 1:45 to 2:15, 2:30, and then oh shit, and then I watched the rest at dinner. But so I did split it up. I will admit, which might aid to my frustrations. However, you know, but I still think this movie's good. It's still a movie that I can probably rewatch whenever and be satisfied with it. And when it comes to a horror movie, a slasher movie like this, that's all you can really ask at this point. But yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts on Halloween. Um, we'll see what I watch next. It is spooky season, so it'll probably be a, another horror movie. I've been really wanting to do the Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street franchises in release order. I actually have a paper on my desk that has it written out, and I have a letterbox list of it written out. So I want to do that because I know that those three influenced each other so much and competed with each other so much. But my conniption comes is, do I add in Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Do I add in Scream? Do I add in even fucking Jeepers Creepers? I don't know. It is a lot of movies. I think it's like 30 movies just I think it's 29 movies honestly for those three franchises, which is a lot. It's a lot of movies. And I've seen almost half of them, but so half of those movies are just slop. They aren't good. They aren't good. But I want to watch more so to compare how they grow and how they influence each other. If that makes sense. But yeah, that's kind of it for me. I don't know. I like talking about movies, but I don't really have many people to talk to, so I kind of just need to rant to myself. And if this incoherent blabbering makes sense. That was tea, by the way. That wasn't wine. It'll probably be wine at some night. But yeah, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Have a good night.